Thai Buddhist temple here in St. Louis. And on your syllabus, I mentioned the Thai temple, Wat Phra Sirajanaram, that you can visit on Saturday evenings. Meditate with the monks. So I've asked Dr. Tempajitt to be with us tonight so that he can explain Buddhism to us. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you. I need some introduction, but this guy doesn't need introduction. You know him. So what is Buddhism? Buddhism is an awakened way of life taught by the Buddha, and to free oneself from clinging to the self-image hologram. We all have a self-image that we build and generate by our own ignorance, blind by our own greed-headed illusion, which cause the reason for craving, result in suffering. So Buddhism started in India, northeastern part of India, around the Ganges Valley. There are 4 holy places that's important in Buddhism. That's his birthplace, near the border of Nepal and South Nepal and northern India. And then he attained enlightenment at the Buddha Gaya, and then he gave the first sermon at Sarnath, and then he passed away at Kushinara. These are the 4 holy places of Buddhism, and he passed away 2,554 years ago, 211 Christian era now. So these are the 4 holy places that Buddhists would take a pilgrimage to be there, to pay respect to the Buddha and reflect upon the uncertainty of life. And when the Buddha was born at Lumbini Park that I mentioned earlier, it's between the Kapilavastu, where he was his kingdom, and then he his mom, Queen Sri Mahamaya, traveled back to her hometown, and at the park there at Lumbini Park, she gave birth to Prince Siddhartha. Supposedly there's vision that he can walk 7 steps with lotus flower, come up to receive him on each step, signifying like Buddhism will propagate in 7 continents. And supposedly she was holding on to the branch of a tree and gave birth to him. This is the salad tree, and that's peculiar in that have a twig that have the flowers, but very beautiful and fragrant flowers. You probably never saw any flower like this. I can guarantee you that. Okay. So when he was born, supposedly he put his finger to the sky and one finger down to the earth, say, I will be supreme in the world, I will rule the world, and this is my last life. The first 2 you kind of egoistic, but the last one said, oh, this is my last life. It might reflect upon you what does that mean. So he lived as crown prince for 29 years. Mary had 1 son. And when his son was born, he left the palace because he found that his sensual life is not perfect. It's still, when he went to visit the city, tour the city, he was kept in the palace, 3 palaces, like summer and rainy and winter season. The only 3 seasons, the monsoon and so on. His father didn't want him to see the change around the world because it was a forecaster. He might be the great emperor, or it could be a great teacher of the world. So obviously he wanted him to rule him. So it was kept secluded in this palace. So when he came out to tour the town, he encountered the 4 vision, aging, sickness, and death. And the 4th vision was the ascetic, look very calm and solemn. He even asked his personal attendant, Channa, who took him out, said, would father be old like that? Would he be sick and die? Or his wife would be old, sick and die? And then he come to him, would I be old, sick and die? And Channa said, yeah, everyone who followed that track. So he left the palace at the age of 29 and tried a way of the ascetic that looked solemn to him. And he tried a self-mortification for 6 years, fasting, almost died, and live on 1 grain of rice and just water, I guess. So he found it's useless, wasteful and painful, skin and bone, pass out, almost die. So it says extreme that he could avoid. So he started nurturing himself. His 5 disciples that followed him around left him. And under the Bodhi tree at the Bodhigaya I showed you earlier, this Bodhi tree, he meditated overnight and attained enlightenment. After nights of his enlightenment, Mara, or the demon king, came by to visit him and also sent his 3 princes, his daughters. They are Raga, Tanha, or lust, craving, and jealousy, to kind of attack him, and brought the army and troops over, shot him with arrows, and throw a spear at him. So the Buddha was basically paralyzed. So he asked to witness to Mother Earth and for all the virtue he had done in the past. And she came out and squeezed her pigtail, and water came out from that flood all the Mara, how the demon drops around. And arrows and spears turned into flowers. So that animated version. So what it meant is the water is like his self-awareness, and Mother Earth is like his mindfulness. Kind of witness, he saw his own thoughts, which is basically created the delusion that served him. He thought of his, why did I leave the palace as crown prince? I live a luxurious life. Why did I leave my family, my wife and child? So, what about my parents and so on? So, with his self-awareness, he saw his own thought that invaded him and got rid of his thoughts. So, attained enlightenment on that night. On that night, he said, he found a house builder, which is craving or tanha, and that caused a thought conditioning. And he saw it's like his own self-image that reflect upon him, which is not truly there. So this is another version, Keanu Reeves, not the Brad Pitt. Okay. So he said, through the round of many births I roam, without reward, without rest, seeking the house builder, paying for his birth again and again. House builder, I have found you. So disappear when he's did that. So his own thought that disintegrate. You shall build no more houses. All your rafter broken. The rich pole destroy. I've come to the unconditioned Nirvana. The mind has come to the end of suffering. This is the Dhammavada. Gone is the unconditioned. Gone to the unconditioned side. So at that place, at the under Bodhi tree, they built a great stupa, Mahabodhi stupa, commemorating his enlightenment. He was at the dawn of that night, full moon of the 6th lunar month, he had enlightenment. Became the Buddhist day. It was a Vesak day, which Buddhists of all sects would celebrate on that day, like we have here on May 15th at the Chinese temple in Augusta, Chinese monastery, Mid-American Association. They celebrate his birth, enlightenment, and his death, Parinirvana. Happened on the full moon of 6th lunar month, happened to fall on the same day in our tradition, in the Theravada tradition. So what did he attain enlightenment upon? About the Four Noble Truths, or literally means Four Ultimate Truths. Or in the exemplified form, it's called dependent arising. This is about suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and middle path to end suffering. It's basically the cause and effect. The cause is because of your craving, your mind reaching outward with desire, like and dislike. So the result is that you end up with clinging to the self-concept, and suffering arises from that because you didn't get what you want. So we'll go through that. And there's a path that you can end suffering through the middle path, or the Noble Eightfold Path, which is about mindful awareness, guarding the mind, restraining the mind, refrain from doing any bad deeds and so on, and seeing your thoughts, basically, your sneaky thoughts. And the result, when you smile, you see your mind clearly, you return the norm of the equanimous mind, which everybody has, but we can't indulge in the thought, deep in the thought all the time. So we being controlled by our own thoughts, and basically just tell you, you don't really control your own mind. Your mind kind of sneak out all the time. So what is the Noble Eightfold Path, the middle path? They deal with morality, concentration, and wisdom. Morality deal with right view, right thoughts. Then morality deal with right speech, action, right livelihood. And mental concentration deal with right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. They become the threefold training of morality, concentration, and wisdom. 8 spoke but one wheel. So you miss one, you know what happened, the wheel broke. So 8 in unison spoke as one. It will solidify into the right concentration with mindful awareness, and intuitive wisdom will break open, liberate your mind from all suffering, from all the biased thoughts. So this is how dependent arising started, the wheel of thought, ignorance, not knowing truth, mental impulse, consciousness, and it give you nama rupa in the self-image hologram. 6 senses of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind have contact, feeling, craving, clinging to such feeling, and so on, becoming the thoughts, and birth into the thought, and ripening and aging, and sickness, and ceasing of the thought, sorrow, and meditation. If you're not aware of this ongoing all the time, it's a real thought. It's how I was born. But if you have self-awareness, mindful awareness, this will cease. It recedes itself. The chain is broken. This 12 linking chain is broken because you're aware of it. See, no more ignorance. You see that everything is self. You are being attained at that point. So the Buddha stayed at the same place under the Bodhi tree in the Nirvana area for 2 months, and then he sought out his first 5 disciples that left him and caught up with them at the Sarnath I showed you earlier, about 150 kilometers from the first place, at the Deer Park. And he gave the first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, setting Dhamma wheel in motion. That's the main translation. Dhammeka Stupa, that King Asoka the Great, about 250 years later, about this monument commemorating the first sermon the Buddha gave. It's talking about the middle path, the Noble Eightfold Path, avoid is too extreme. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And one of them, like Kontanya, the oldest one, saw that thing that arises as a norm was seen as a norm. He attained first level of enlightenment, basically. So Buddhism was completely born that day because there's a Buddha, the founder, the teaching, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the witness, the noble disciple. And subsequently, in a few days, he gave another Selfless Sutra, and all 5 of them attend full. And that became the Sangha Day on full moon, the 8th lunar month. So this is the middle path he talked about in the first sermon. To avoid the 2 extremes of sensual desire and self-mortification, he lived luxurious life for 29 years, as well as he did the deep jhana, mental absorption, very high, formless absorption, beyond your kind of imagination, very calm and peaceful. But it's not the way out. You suppress your own thought there, but it's not dying down. Like your mind is about 0.2 to 2 hertz or cycle per second, very slow in that state. Almost nothing, just hibernating in your mind. You don't see your thought, which run about 17 to 34 cycles per second because you suppress it. And self-mortification, he tried for 6 years, almost died. So he says those are useless. It's also point out that you're not clinging to eternal life or nihil.